Have you ever sat with someone when they knew that their life was almost at an end? Have you sat with those folks before? When they were still maybe cognizant and present, but their time was nigh. If you remember that space, that sort of liminal place when people have one foot here in the present and one foot in what's to come. If they said anything, do you remember it? You can nod if you do, because I need to know that you're hearing me. Yeah? I do as well. I often refer to that as marching orders. In my role as a pastor, I get to be in that privileged space of being with people when they are near death pretty regularly. And it's often this flavor of, these are the things you need to do, or this is what I need you to hear, can come out in those times. But I bet those things that you've heard, like the things I've heard, were never, remember to take out the trash, right? Or make sure you go to church every Sunday, or I'll haunt you, or spend more time at the office. You need to work harder. Those are not the words. I bet it was something else entirely. Things like, you need to forgive your sister. Or, take the trip. Explore the world, go now. Or, I hope you find someone who will make you happy. Right? These are the words. When Ryan and I were first dating, a million years ago, you guys, when we were first dating, Ryan's mother, Linda, who was a second grade teacher and just a wonderful woman, was near the end of her life. She'd been battling cancer for a long time. And one day, she gathered all of us up. She called us all in and then had each person come into her room, into her bedroom, individually to talk to us. I didn't expect to be called in. I was just there as kind of moral support. Ryan was my boyfriend. He was not even my fiance, right? So I'm like, but I'm here, I'm supportive, let's do this. But she did. She called me in to her room by myself, and she pulled me down close, surprisingly strong. And she said, if you two end up together, I'll be happy with that. And I smiled, and I was like, okay. I thought she was done. But then she got a very serious look on her face, and she said, I need you to look after Bob. Now, Bob is Ryan's dad. And she said to me, make sure that he doesn't go down to the bar and pick up the first woman he meets. Make sure he finds a nice woman at church. And I'm like, me? This is my job? And my eyes got really big, and I thought, has Bob even ever been to a bar? I've never even seen him have a beer. And also, I'm pretty sure I can't make Bob do anything, but okay. And so I held her hand, and I said, I'll do my best, Linda. And then she laid back on her pillow. And then she said, send Meredith in. Meredith is my sister-in-law now. And I don't know what she said to Meredith. It was sad, to be there in that space. It was funny. She knew it was funny. It was a gift. But really, thinking about it now, Linda was talking about love. It was as if she was saying, I need someone to love Bob like I loved Bob, to take care of him. And I don't think she really meant for me to find him a wife at church. I mean, well, maybe she did. But I think that in these marching orders to me were the hope that love would be found, that care would be taken, that pain and grief would be lessened. In our gospel reading today, Jesus is in this space. He knows what's going down. He's in his last days. Judas has just left to betray him. That's the first line of the reading, the first words out of it. Peter knows that he's in a canoe without a paddle. Jesus has just told him about his betrayals. But Jesus isn't focusing on those shortcomings at all. I mean, I suppose it's not really surprising. It'd be pretty off-brand at this point for Jesus to all of a sudden be like, oh, I'm sorry, Peter, you've missed the mark, you're out, gotta go. But what Jesus does do is to lay it down clearly, once again, do like I do. Just as I have loved you, so you should love one another. And how does Jesus do this? With actions, right? Feeding thousands, healing the untouchable, welcoming the shamed and the tainted, embracing children, literally the least of these, using words of encouragement for those normally cast out, right? Remember the story? Great is your faith, you are healed. Jesus always turns the table in every possible way. That is the love that he's speaking of. It's not amorphous. It's not difficult to ascertain. It's pretty clear. But then, the last line of this, there's a gauntlet that he throws down. At least it feels that way to me. Following the command to love one another, he says, by this, everyone will know if you are disciples if you have love for one another. If. It's almost like a dare, isn't it? Or a challenge, or a promise. And this is the difficulty for all of us who suffer the human condition. We are the worst, you guys, at loving like Jesus loves. I mean, we love all right. We love people to get them to do stuff for us. We love people so they might love us back. We love people transactionally a lot of the time. We love people two-dimensionally. New Testament scholar D.A. Carson names that irony this way. He says, this new command is simple enough for a toddler to be able to memorize and appreciate. And yet it is profound enough that the most mature believers are repeatedly embarrassed at how poorly they comprehend it and put it into practice in their own lives. It's hard to do. I mean, personally, to put it back on myself a bit, I don't love well or like Jesus does well because it's really hard. Love makes me vulnerable. And I'd rather not be vulnerable. Anybody here want to be vulnerable? Thanks, Brene Brown. We now know it's good for us, but I don't like it, okay? Love requires effort, and a lot of the time, I'm tired, right? Anyone else tired right now? Yes. Love invades my boundaries. It crosses over lines that I thought were in place, and I feel safer behind my walls. Thank you very much. Love takes time, discipline, effort. And gosh darn it, I'm just so busy all the time. Sorry. G.K. Chesterton, who's one of my favorite writers, he was a contemporary of C.S. Lewis, and they were friends, which is cool. But G.K. Chesterton once wrote that the Christian ideal has not been tried and found wanting. It has been found difficult and left untried. Imagine what would happen to us, to the church, to the world, if we took this commandment, this challenge, this gauntlet of loving one another seriously. And this is where I'm going to go a little off script, because I was listening to the radio this morning telling me about this horrendous crime in Buffalo. And I think that if we took this commandment of Jesus seriously, well, maybe for one thing, maybe there would be a little bit less radical indoctrination of teenaged white boys in North America into racist murderers. Maybe. I was listening to that news this morning, and I'm sure you were too, because the killer in Buffalo was an 18-year-old white boy who honed his hatred of black people and black lives and black bodies on social media during the pandemic, and he wrote it all down. He was, quote unquote, bored. Friends, these are our children. I have a teenager in my house. I have a little white boy in my house. These are our children, our little white children, and we're the ones who need to change this. It falls on us to do it. I have so many black scholars and theologians and poets and friends that I love who are asking, where are you at? What are you doing? They're pleading because it is us who need to change. This is our job, our problem, our obligation, particularly in light of today's gospel reading that I didn't even pick. Jesus' challenge to love one another also comes with an accountability and a responsibility to teach and love and pay attention to these kids in our backyards. They may not even be yours. I volunteer at my kids' school every Friday, and I see a lot of kids that aren't mine, but I try and know all their names. I do my best. I'm not 100%, but I try because it matters that they know that they are seen and that they are loved, even if it's just by some crazy mom who helps out with the food program. We have to do better and to love stronger and to know that our love, with our love, as much as we're able to do, comes the very power of God to change hearts and lives. So I guess what would happen to us, what would happen to the church, to the world, if we took this commandment very seriously, is that, honestly, we'd be a mess. A welcoming, feeding, washing, accepting, life-changing, holy mess. And it would be good. Jesus isn't asking us to wear ourselves out or do something that's so big and so huge, and how could we possibly? Trying to manufacture love out of our own depleted resources. I'm still tired like I was at the beginning of this sermon, right? Rather, it is that we are invited to abide, to live in this holy place where love comes from, to live in Jesus' love for us, like Jesus loved. It's abundant, inexhaustible. It can help to feed the love that we find missing. Our love is not just our own, it's God's, and God is the source of it without limit, without end. Whether you find yourself in this story being more like Judas or Mary or Peter, or if you are Simon, or maybe you're just Mike or Jenny or Bob, God will bridge the gap between what we're able to do and what's truly needed. Whenever we put whatever little bit we've got out there, God will grab the other end of that line and say, we've got this. The end of the story is always new life. It's still Easter. We still have 2 weeks to go. Jesus knew it, and so do we. Like I told these little ones who came forward at the beginning, and very much like how Mary Oliver put it so beautifully to us in her poem, The Wild Geese, you don't have to just be good. You don't have to be good at all. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves, and God will meet you halfway and help us to right this ship. Thanks be to God. Amen.